Well, hey there, everybody. It's Holly from Startpoint Media Group. Thanks for joining me today. We are on the topic of vendor fairs. This is a video two of ways for you to step up your game in the upcoming vendor fair season. We are screaming into quarter 4 pretty soon, which also entails the holiday season. And so vendor fairs are coming up and they're coming up fast. So I want you to be as prepared as possible if your business is going to be hopping into some of these vendor fairs this holiday season. So yesterday I talked to you all about what you can do on social media before, during, and after a vendor fair. And today I want to talk to you all about presentation of your booth. Your booth is in the middle of a crazy town, and your booth is also a mini version of your store. And so the presentation of how you display your products at this vendor fair is going to be huge. It's the reason people are going to stop, the reason people are going to walk towards your booth, the reason people are going to put away the distractions that they're walking by to come into your booth. So let's talk about presentation first of all. Okay, so by presentation, I'm not talking about just how everything looks, but I want to talk about how your employees are behaving as well. So let's talk about those guys first. Okay, so I find that it's very important that we have welcoming faces. Customer service is going to be huge. That's what's going to make you stand out the most. Is if you have somebody that is an employee that has a grouchy face and their arms are crossed and they're always scowling, looks like they hate being there, then chances are nobody's going to want to come up and talk to you or come into your booth or buy from you. So I think it's very important that you give yourself and your employees a pep talk about how the importance of body language shows that. Not a lot of people talk about that when it comes to vendor fairs, but your body language is huge when it comes to any type of sales whatsoever. So make sure everybody is presenting themselves correctly. Everybody has a smile on their face, and we're always welcoming when it comes into the booth. Okay, so we've already crossed that off the list of how to at least make people want to at least engage with you. So let's talk about the presentation of your booth. First of all, I want you to avoid clutter and messes at all costs. So I don't want you to have any type of flyers or stuff, all of your products scattered all over the place. I want it to be organized. I want you to utilize tablecloths, cover up the tablecloths, have all your inventory tucked neatly underneath your booth or underneath your table. So we want any clutter, any mess. We don't want to have any of that visibly showing. If you can get drapery on the sides of all the 3 sides of your booth, that would be awesome. Some vendor fairs do that where you pay like an extra $25 and you have drapery. The reason why I like this is because how many of you know, some of us can relate that we have been at a vendor fair and the person next to us is obnoxious and loud, or their customers are crazy, and it feels like it's seeping into your space. Any opportunity that you can have to have drapery on all 3 sides of your booth is going to be nice to have. It keeps the clutter and the loudness of what's going on outside, but then it makes it your space. Plus the fact that you can utilize the space. So anybody, whenever you're putting your vendor fair together, I want you to use floor to ceiling. So if you have drapery, you can pin stuff on the drapery all around you, so you have that luxury as well. So it not only does it cut you off from people around you, from the booths all around you, but you can utilize that space to showcase your products anywhere that you have on your booth. You can hang signage up there, you can hang your logo up there, your website, your social media handles, all of that stuff. You can use the drapery when it comes to that. Another thing that I want you to consider is I don't know if you guys have ever, if you have a tent. I know some booths are smaller than others, or some of them are bigger, but when you use a tent, that really does enclose that space up. It also dresses up the space as well. You can use the legs for some, you can put put some build outs around the legs, so then you can use the legs to display some products as well. So when you have a tent, it just steps up the game a little bit more. It makes it look a little bit nicer. How many of you have ever been into on the deck where there's some people that I know that they have a beautiful deck, and what they did is they got a gazebo out there and they put this beautiful tent up, and it changes the dimension and how it feels with that particular with that deck. And it also does the same thing for your vendors. So if you have a nice tent, it doesn't even need to be like super fancy, like a white tent. Those are all that you need. You use those for baseball games or something. So if you have that, it just creates that more enclosed space. That way you can it's your space. You don't have to worry about it. Dresses it up nice. It stands out in the crowd, gives you that opportunity to look different than the people around you. Okay. The next thing I want you to consider is atmosphere. When people are walking into your booth, they're walking through a crowd of people. It's super loud. And if you can create that space with the drapery or tents or otherwise, if you can create more of a calming environment when people walk into your booth, that is going to speak volumes. So if you think about, like lighting, for example. I don't know about you, but I don't like fluorescent lighting. Fluorescent lighting is the opposite of any type of atmosphere you can create. And chances are that's what you have at a vendor fair. So if you can do some lighting, this is where if you have the tent, the lighting is huge. If you sell jewelry, I want you to have as many lamps as possible on the tables. You can attach them up to if you have the tent, attach them to the tent. Because when you have additional lighting, it makes your jewelry sparkle. So if you can do some sort of lighting to really make that space more calming. Another thing I've seen people do is they have soft music playing in the background just to create, it's not like you're a DJ, doing all kinds of things when it comes to that. But if you have like soft music, again, you are creating a calming space for people to get away from the bustle outside of your booth and actually like take a deep breath, take in, especially if you have like sensual products like candles or something like that. When you're trying to create a calming environment, having some nice music is super helpful to have as well. Another thing is if you are in the apparel industry, I want you to consider having mirrors around. So if like you want people to be able to try on your jewelry, that's really helpful too. If you have mirrors available so people can try on a scarf or try on a sweater, people like to see themselves. And if they can put something on and you can get them to put it on and try it on and view it while they're wearing it with the mirrors, that really does help. Plus the fact when you have mirrors, it makes your space look a little bit bigger too, right? So it's all about the illusions when it comes to creating those type of the atmosphere when it comes to it. Now, another thing that you can do is I mentioned this earlier, is you want to use floor to ceiling, however possible. You want to have different layers in all different aspects of your booth. You can utilize the floor space, get some milk crates, display some of your products. You can, you have tablecloths, you can tuck little boxes underneath the tablecloths to give some elevation. So then that way, I don't want you guys to have anything out there that's just all straight flat on the tables. I want you to have different levels, different variations, because not only does that give you more display space, but it also is more pleasing to the eye when you have different levels and different dimensions. So those are the things that I want you to consider. Consider your presentation, consider the atmosphere, utilize all of the space that you possibly can. So that's how you can create your presentation to make your booth stand out in the crowd where the vendor fair is super bustling and busy. You are creating not only an opportunity for people to visually want to come into your booth with your smiling customer or with your smiling employees, but your booth has a great presentation. It creates that peaceful, calming environment for your customers. So then they want to come in, and then don't forget to watch the video yesterday to see how you can promote and how you can do all of the pictures while you're there. But join me tomorrow, and I'm going to give you another tip on how to handle your marketing pieces. So see you next time.